Now we'll see in the Quran also how in the ayahs of Allah, how it happens and what happens in the ayahs, what we have understood. Now how it will happen, you read, I read you first. Now we'll discuss the whole system by the Quranic ayahs. Surah Aal-e-Imran 3 and Ayat 19. Inna addeena AAinda Allahial-islamu wama ikhtalafa allatheena ootooalkitaba illa min baAAdi ma jaahumualAAilmu baghyan baynahum waman yakfur bi-ayati Allahifa-inna Allaha sareeAAu alhisab. Surely addeena, the judgment in the nearness of Allah, is al-Islam, to attain peace. And those who were given the book did not differ except to wrong each other after it came to them. And whosoever rejects the signs and the ayahs of Allah, surely Allah is quick in taking account. Now first of all, we must understand the first phrase of this ayat. Inna addeena AAinda Allahial-islamu. The judgment in the nearness of Allah is al-Islam, to attain peace. This little phrase explains to you that the judgment, there are many judgments or the do's and the don'ts or the governing ayahs in the Quran, laid down the whole ayahs. So that judgment is a final decision by Allah laid down in the ayahs. You have to listen to it. The do's I was reciting, you listen to it, it makes sense to you, it makes sense to you, you have to submit to it. So that is the judgment of Allah to attain peace, Islam. You can only attain Islam or peace, you can attain peace, Islam, if you obey those do's that I read and you obey those don'ts that I read. If you obey and follow those do's and the don'ts, that is the judgment in the nearness of Allah, is to attain peace, Islam. You and we can attain peace, Islam, salam, peace, if you follow those do's and don'ts laid down in the ayahs. wama ikhtalafa allatheena ootooalkitaba illa min baAAdi ma jaahumualAAilmu baghyan baynahum. And those who were given the book did not differ except to wrong each other. After they read the book, after the knowledge came to them, they did not differ in the matter that was they read from the Quran. They did not differ in it, but they differ to wrong each other, to say that you are wrong. Wronging each other, they start differing after the knowledge came to them. You see, the knowledge is, if you understand, for example, if you understand any ayat, a do of an ayah, that so many do's I read, that you do not commit adultery, right? It's a law. So now I understand this and you understand this, but suppose I am committing. So if you order me, look, Quran says do not commit adultery, so you mind your own business, what are you have to do with me? I am doing it. So the knowledge is there. After the knowledge came to them, people started differing each other because of their own desire, vain desire. They start differing each other. This is going on. So, but they did not differ in the book. They did not differ that the book says is not right. They agree to the ayahs in the book, but they differ each other to wrong each other. After the knowledge came to them, after the knowledge, they should have taken the guidance. This book is a book of God for guidance. Dhalikal kitab la raiba fi hudal lil-muttaqin. That is a book, does not have a doubt. It is a guidance for mankind. Instead of taking the guidance, they start, after the knowledge it came to them, they started saying, you are wrong, you are wrong, you are wrong. They are not practicing it. They are just showing the knowledge to people. And I've seen most of us, I'm not saying I've seen, but there are people I've met that they have got the knowledge of an ayah. They know the surah number, ayat number, reference. And they point a finger to you, this is the Quran says, but they don't practice. So Allah says, تَأْمُرُونَ النَّاسَ بِالْبِرِّ وَتَنْسَوْنَ أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ تَتْلُونَ الْكِتَابَ أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ. You order to people that this is wrong, but you don't practice yourself. So that is what I'm trying to say. After the knowledge came to people, they started talking about the knowledge of the book, but they may not be practicing it. So they are differing basically to each other. So this is a general practice in the whole world. You must understand that I can become a doctor, engineer. How? I read a book, I memorize it, and I repeat those words as being told to me. I get A+, good marks. I can become engineer or doctor, okay? But in the Quran, this is a different thing. You can memorize the Quran, you know the reference of the Quran, but if you don't implement in your life, you can stand up and talk about the Quranic ayats, like I may be doing so. If I don't practice, it means nothing to, it's not benefiting me. So I may be saying that you people are not praying, you are wrong. I'm saying these ayat, the people, when a person, a reciter or a speaker of the ayat does not mean that he's right. Right is the ayat. If you are following, then you are right in the eyes of God. In the world, people think that if the people become speakers, they would do tabligh. But what happens? Why aren't you practicing? People don't practice. So this is what I'm saying. They wrong each other by after the knowledge came to them. They think that we have got the knowledge of the Quran, we can talk about the Quran, but we don't practice it. You must understand the practice is important. This is how. And why it says waman yakfur bi-ayati, because they are rejecting the ayats of Allah says, and whoever rejects the ayats of Allah, surely Allah is quick in taking the account. So first of all, in this ayah we have understood that the judgment laid down by Allah is Islam, to attain peace. That is the judgment. And I explained to you what are the do's and the don'ts. If there are few ayahs that I've read, references and points, and from that you have to follow those do's and don'ts. That is the judgment of Allah, and you will attain peace. Salam, peace. And if you just point out the other person as wrong by quoting verses to each other and not practicing, you are rejecting the ayahs. Allah says, whoever rejects the ayahs of Allah, Allah will be quick in taking the account. First, this is that what is the judgment? Islam, peace. Now, Surah Al-Anfal 8:60, what you have to do to attain that peace. What we have to do to attain that peace. In Surah Al-Anfal 8 and Ayah 60, وَأَعِدُّوا لَهُمْ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُم مِّن قُوَّةٍ وَمِن رِّبَاطِ الْخَيْلِ تُرْهِبُونَ بِهِ عَدُوَّ اللَّهِ وَعَدُوَّكُمْ وَآخَرِينَ مِن دُونِهِمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَهُمْ اللَّهُ يَعْلَمُهُمْ وَمَا تُنْفِقُوا مِن شَيْءٍ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ يُوَفَّى إِلَيْكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ لَا تُظْلَمُونَ. And from them you prepare, and for them you prepare, towards you have this capacity from strength and from the binding of the horses, to you terrorize with it to the enemies of Allah and your enemies and others beside them. You do not know them, Allah knows them. And whatsoever you spend from anything in the way of Allah, you will be repaid in full, and you will not be oppressed. Now, since we have come to know that the judgment in the nearness of Allah is Islam, so Allah says you Muslims should prepare themselves. From them you prepare to what you have the capacity or the capability from the strength. Whatever the strength I have, whatever the individual people have got the strength, they have to prepare themselves according to their own capacity, according to their own capability. They have to prepare. How you will prepare? Yes, how? How will you prepare yourself? Excuse me? By following the don'ts and the do's of ayahs, right? This is how and according to your capacity and the capability, you have to prepare yourself. And the binding of the horses. What is in the وَأَعِدَّ لَهُمْ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُم مِّن قُوَّةٍ. Whatever the capacity and the strength you have got. وَمِن رِّبَاطِ الْخَيْلِ. And the binding of the horses. Khayl means horse in Arabic. And binding means you have to hold on to your horses. Meaning it's expression language that to check your impulses to remain calm. To check your impulse and to remain calm. That's the explanatory meaning, the binding of horses. You should hold on to horses, meaning you should hold on to your feelings and emotions in a language. So if I have got the strength and capacity and to follow, what I have to do? I have to follow the do's and don'ts by remaining calm, not getting agitated, by remaining calm. Binding of horses means remaining. What you have to do? You have to prepare. Listen to me very good. You have to prepare for other people. You have to prepare to what you have the capacity or capability from strength whatever the strength you have got and capability you've got, you have to prepare yourself, whatever the strength you have got, from the binding of horses, and remain calm. Do not get excited. So that you terrorize with it to the enemies of Allah and your enemies and others beside them. How, listen to, this is very important, how a person who is terrorized by, first he has to be terrorized by Allah, he has to submit to Allah's do's and the don'ts, and then if you practice that, then he is putting a terror into the one who is not practicing it, who is enemy to God, who is not practicing to Allah, who is enemy to Allah. How it will happen? You see the example, like for example, if you see a person, a thief, he comes in my house to rob, right? You understand this? He comes in my house to rob. So if an alarm goes on, or if a policeman is nearby, he will be terrorized or not? If he sees the policeman, he will be terrorized. So policeman is what? A person who is binding the law, and he is breaking the law. So remember this, any person who breaks the law, in his heart he knows he is doing wrong. So a person who is a practicing Muslim, who is believing in the do's and the don'ts and practicing, he looks into the person who does not practice, he will be afraid of him. This is how you terrorize. You understand this? A person who drinks, you say, I don't drink. A person who is involved in bad activities, all this I read, he is not practicing. He will be terrorized by a person who is doing so, to an extent that he will go and say, look, this marriage, if you like this, you like to womanize, you like to drink, if this man start practicing his system in the world, you can't drink, you can't do this, you can't do this, so he'll be terrorized with you. So this is what Allah is saying, you have to prepare every Muslim who is a submitter to Allah. First he should be terrorized by Allah himself, then he should submit to ayahs, and then he terrorizes whatever the strength he has got, whatever the capacity and capability he has got. He has to prepare himself so that he terrorizes people. And this is how the terrorism starts. First, you have to be terrorized by Allah. You represent Allah's fear in you. You start practicing the do's and the don'ts. And then if you are practicing that, you start educating others. So people who do not practice, they do not come nearby you. So they are basically terrorized from you. This is how the people start terrorizing each other. So Allah is also asking you to terrorize. This is very clear in that. Turhibuna means you terrorize. Bihi, with what? With this. Aduwallahi wa aduwakum. Who is your enemy and is their enemy of Allah. And the enemy of Allah is Shaitan. Shaitan is the enemy of Allah and Shaitan is the enemy of mankind. You know this. The Quran says very clearly, he is an open enemy, he says. So if a person who is practicing Allah, meaning who is following the do's and the don'ts, he is practicing ayats. And he is educating to the person who is not practicing. So he will be terrorized from you. If you believe, not only by the ayats, remember, if you know the ayats doesn't terrorize people. If you know and practice and implement, and if you educate, they are terrorized from you. This is how you have to terrorize others. So you have to prepare for them, for other people you have to prepare to what you have the capability from strength, whatever the strength and the capability you have to prepare yourself, and from the binding of horses, meaning to check your impulses and to remain calm, so that you terrorize with it to the enemies of Allah. So you can terrorize the enemies of Allah and your enemies and others beside them. And you do not know them, Allah knows them, and whatever you spend from anything in the way of Allah, you will be repaid in full, and you will not be oppressed. So this is the preparation Allah is telling you to inna addeena Allahial-islamu. The judgment and nearness of Allah is Islam, to attain peace, and how you have to prepare. I am explaining to you how. I have read you the do's and the don'ts. You have to prepare yourself. So when you will follow, so the other peoples will be terrified from you. Like a thief or robber is terrified by a policeman. He is terrified. So your conduct and character is not just remembering the ayahs. Your conduct and character should be that you are practicing the ayahs, the people should be terrified from you. And this is what you will see in the world. You will understand how it happens in the world.